Hi everyone and welcome to Tune In Tuesday. Apologies again for being a little bit late. I've just been down for a lovely walk and from at Manly. You've been noticed that the videos, online videos from Self-Centered. Hi Tina, thanks for getting on. It says something about I'm on Self-Centered. I'm supposed to be on the Self-Centered group, but anyway, let's see how we go. You've obviously found me. Lovely afternoon, sun shining, it's nice and fresh, and I just had a nice little walk, cleared my head. I've had a bit of a busy day and really getting back into it. I find my energy really started to lift this week. I've had a difficult, not difficult, but I felt my energy wasn't great the last couple of weeks. I took a week off and went on holiday, so apologies again for not being on for a couple of weeks, but I took a week off and I guess I should have posted something. Anyway, you know me. So I took a week off and did a little bit of traveling around New South Wales, and then last week was kind of just a bit quiet. I just felt the motivation wasn't there. I felt a bit foggy. Don't know if anyone else did, but I felt like I just needed a bit more of a rest. So it's worked really well, and I'm back on board, motivated and ready to go again. But it's certainly been a big weekend, and I do think that the last couple of weeks has been challenging for a lot of people. I know a lot of my clients really feel like the energy's ramping up, like there's just a lot going on. Emotions are quite intense. So what you used to feel before is kind of just being exaggerated or amplified, whatever the word might be. I'm just going to calm this light down a little bit. And particularly, you know, the obvious thing is the American elections. It's been a bit crazy. I mean, God, it's been a crazy year, right? I mean, that's an understatement for a start. But the last week or two has been particularly crazy. So people who are kind of invested emotionally, I guess you'd probably say. A lot of people well, not a lot of people, but some people I talk to kind of could care less. They don't really get that involved in it. But some people care a lot, like a real lot. And I guess what goes on in America does have effects and influence for pretty well any country around the world. You know, what America decides to do in terms of trade or defense forces, all that kind of thing absolutely does make a big difference for all of us. If America goes to war, then we all go to war. If America's at peace, we're all at peace. If there's a lot of corruption in America, there's a lot of corruption in other places. So whatever's going on in there, it seems like the vote has been cast and Trump is out, Biden is in. But what I wanted to talk about today is particularly when we feel like you've got an option of being in two camps. And it's like we've all been polarized and polarized and polarized. And it's been the same thing around the world. With everything that's kind of gone on this day, there's a drive to kind of disconnect and polarize people, when really what we need to be doing is coming together and coming together and coming together, finding a better connection, and also a better connection within ourselves. Because when there's a lot of conflict and turmoil and divide going on in the world, then it's also going on within us, because our external world is a reflection of us, and we are also a reflection of what's going on out there. And so it's difficult to not be affected by that. And there were definitely days over the last couple of weeks where I felt like I was being drawn into some of that negative, tense, if you like, kind of energy. And you know, we even watching the election on whatever day it was last week, and then another day, and then another day, and another day. And you're listening to not the social media, the mainstream media, as they call it these days, what's on TV. It just is so one-sided and narrow-minded that we don't really get a good, broad perception of what's actually going on. Everybody's kind of seems to have their own agenda, and you can get sucked into that agenda. And I find with some of it, it was kind of irritating me. And then I just thought, this isn't doing me any good. So what I wanted to talk about, there's a couple of little things. Something I've talked about many times is in the Pillar Code, we talk about how we get connected to stuff, whether it's an internal connection, an external connection, and an external is about what's going on in your environment, but within your proximity generally, your home, your family, your extended family probably, your work, your community, what's going on in your life directly, what directly impacts you. Then you've also got the universal connection. So what's going on a soul level when we look at why is this happening and what is the purpose of this. So on your soul we look at why and purpose. Excuse me. There we go, a bit better. And then on the fourth level is this global level. So I always go, it's what's going on out there globally in the world. And they talk about that mass consciousness. So what is happening on a mass consciousness scale will have an impact on you if you are connecting on that. So when you're listening to the news, when you're following mainstream media, and the algorithms that are being pushed to you through Facebook, then you get caught up in what it might be going on there. And what I wanted to recommend for people, I mean, I think we're probably over the latest drama. I mean, there's more stuff coming, as they keep saying. You know, Trump hasn't stepped down yet. There's still a lot of debate going on. So whatever you think is happening, but so important to come back to yourself, keep the focus on what is going on. I think there's an element where it is important to be aware of what's going on, but not to get sucked out into it. You know, we need to keep our eyes wide open, we need to be aware, but we also need to have discernment and decide what works for me, what doesn't work for me. So I find that I had to pull right back, stop watching the news, stop watching the mainstream media, and come back to my beliefs, my connection to myself and to my family and to my environment, and make sure that I was okay, and really make sure that my vibration wasn't being pulled down by fear or skepticism or worry or too much excitement, or, you know, thinking that everything's going to be all right now. You know, I'm sure there'll be some changes, but, you know, is my world going to change? Probably not that much, not in the short term. So I've got to look after me. So this is where we have to be responsible for ourselves and look at how am I feeling? How am I vibrating? What are my thoughts? Are they positive? Are they supporting me? Are they helping me? So it's important always to come back to yourself. The new era of working from an individual connection to your world is very important. Like certainly generations ago, we were very much expected to do what society expected of us. We had to conform to what was going out there. All men did this, all women did that, all kids did this, all teenagers did that, all that sort of stuff. And you had expectations placed on you. But more and more and more, we are being asked to connect to our soul, to use our discernment, to use our knowing and intuition, and to decide what's best for me. And it's not that it's being selfish in a negative way. It's absolutely being selfish, but in a positive way, because you have to be the best version of you that you can be. So if you're allowing other people to set that agenda for you and you're not sure what the right thing to do is, there might be conflict between what they think I should do and what I think I should do. Who's got the authority here? You know, when you're young, your parents absolutely have the authority, so they will decide what's right for you based on their values and beliefs. But by the time you become a teenager, it's up to you to decide what is right for you and not to look for approval or acknowledgement or permission from an authority outside of yourself. Your connection to your soul, your connection to your higher self, your connection to God, to universe and to source, whatever that is for you, then you have to decide what is your purpose here and what are you going to make your life about. You can't live your life based on what other people expect you to do, because your soul will be detached. You're not living a life that's yours. So it's all about taking ownership. And oh, that's a good point. I'm just going to write that down. So we're going from, sorry, I'll just get this down, and this is ownership. Okay. Actually, maybe I should talk about that. So again, number one, be internal. Always make sure that you're solid and grounded. Come into your base chakra. We talk about, I do a lot of explaining to my clients, and I know there's a few of you on here, so bear with me. I just want to put this out there. You know, we talk about, I always call it my little stick figure. So if you take a person at the basic fundamental structure, and then you bring their soul in, your soul is the whole reason you are here on earth. You know, we've done body, body, body for years and years and years, like centuries. The old wisdom was there. You know, we talk about Aristotle and all the masters of holistic health and well-being, and there was a very holistic approach to health. But we've come into scientific view of the body, and it's very much about the physical body, and we can take it apart. It's like a machine. So we break all the parts of the body together. That's why we've got specialists. You know, you've got to go and see your renal specialist. You've got to go and see your oncologist. You've got to go and see your psychologist. You've got to go and see your heart specialist. But, you know, when are we ever going to bring these things together and look at how is one thing influencing another? Because I would challenge any specialist to tell me that other knowledge and wisdom in other specialities in medicine does not affect other functions in the body. I mean, that just doesn't make sense for a start. So we can't pull the machine together and just examine the parts. We've got to look at who we are in a whole. Now, we've all looked at this on a physical level. So we've looked at how do the parts of the body work and what's working in the body and what's not. So in terms of health and well-being, it's been very focused on the physical body. Over probably the last certainly 20, 30 years, but you know, before that, you know, that we had Freud and Jung, you know, Carl Jung and all these people, all of this mental health and how mental health and sanity and psychology all got developed. We have become more and more and more aware of how big an influence the mind has on the body. But in the last 5 to 10 years, unless you were very much in the spiritual community, most people didn't really talk about their soul and their spirit. In fact, 10 years ago or 15 years ago, if I talked about chakras, people thought I was weird. Not many people had heard of it. Whereas nowadays, you can talk chakra to almost any person, and they've certainly heard about it. Some people know a little bit about it. Some people know lots about it. And, you know, you ask people, I often say to people, I start telling my story and I go, you've got a soul, are you okay with that? I've yet to find someone who would say that they don't have a soul. So you know how your body works. We're getting to know a bit more about how the mind works. We certainly know that the mind affects the body, but what about your soul? You know, it's like, you've got one, but that's kind of the beginning and the end of the conversation. So we've got to connect to our soul. Our soul is the whole reason that you're here. You didn't come here to live in a body and to get up and go to work and come home every day. If we've certainly developed and evolved to the point, which is why we're talking about souls and spirit, is that everyone now, because we've evolved up into that hierarchy, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I won't go into it now. Lots of you'll have heard of it and know about it, so just Google Maslow's hierarchy of needs and you'll understand what I'm saying. At the base level, we need food, water, and shelter, and then we want to move up through this hierarchy. But when our basic needs are met, we are ready to now think about fulfillment and purpose and having a life of meaning. Maslow had at the top as self-actualization. So we need to connect to our soul and look at who we are being. So as we come in, there's a point to all of this. So as we come in and connect more to who we are, we now connect to our soul. And each individual's person's soul connects them to the higher self and connects them to God, connects them to heaven, connects them to source, whatever you want to call it. And that connection gives you your authority. You take the authority from on high. And your connection to that helps you to understand your purpose here. And what is it that brings you joy and what gives you purpose? What do you love? I always say your soul sits in your heart. Now, really, your soul is a whole part of your whole body. It's part of your whole energy, and your energy flows through every cell, every organ, every single atom in our bodies is all part of our soul's connection to us. But it pretty well, I like to think that it kind of functions from our heart. And our heart is where we've got this connection to passion, purpose, and connection. Now, people often even say to me, should we live more from the head or from the heart? For me, it's 100% cut and dry. We should live from our heart. But that doesn't mean you go off and do silly things without thinking about it. So your heart uses your head. So you dream up, what would I love? What is going to give my life the most meaning, the most fulfillment, the most joy? And then you go, how could I make this work? So then you bring the mind in, but you're connecting to your soul all of the time, right? So what I'm saying is we come in and be internally, we connect to our power, our authority, and we allow ourselves, give ourselves permission to do what we dream of, what we wish about, what makes us feel whole, what makes our life feel purposeful and worth living. Okay. Now, if the powers to be, they try to kind of divide us and push us away and go, there's us versus them, we're not getting any of that unity within each of us individually. It's also splitting up our masculine and feminine energy. And I talk about this all the time, and bear with me again if you've heard this over and over again. But when we've had this excessive dominance of a yang energy, now it's yang and yin, we all are equal parts yang and yin, or we should be. So when a society and the world has been excessively dominated by a yang energy, that's too much masculine energy, then it's go, 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 do, have more, do more, be more. There's this greed, there's this lack, there's not enough. We have to compete for the resources in the world. That is pushing us in that direction. On the other side, we want to connect, we want to bring these two together. We want this yin energy, this Mother Earth, this nurturing energy, this let's all look after one another. If we all do well, then we all do well. It's not, I don't have to compete against you. You're going to help me. I'm going to help someone else. They'll help that person. They'll help that person. And then we will all come together and help and support and nurture one another. We will nurture Mother Earth. We will take time to rest. Now, it's not a case of we have to bring the yang energy down. We don't bring the yang energy down to bring the yin up. We just have to get it back in balance because one supports the other. I had a lovely description of what this was about. There was a lady, what's her name? Lopez, Christina Lopez, I think, and she had a really nice explanation of this. I think she took it from someone else. But she said, think of yin and yang like this. It's like if two people, and we're going to have a man and a woman, just, you know, yang and yin, and we maybe just give the two things, one's yang and one's yin. So we've got these two dropped in the middle of a forest. They've got no compass, they've got no idea where they're going. The yin energy will look around them. They'll use their intuition, they'll use their gut feel, they'll use their connection to Mother Earth, and she will know where she needs to go. But she's in the middle of this dense forest. So we need the masculine energy. We need the yang energy of survival, of strength, of get stuff done, of take action, of, you know, cutting down things that are in my way. So the yang energy then cuts its way through the forest to get to where the yin energy knows that you need to go. So I thought that was lovely. The other way I think about it is for each individual, male or female, we get up, we have to support ourselves. So we have to get up and go to work and earn a living and put food on the table. So we get up, we go out and we work and we come home and we rest and we connect with loved ones. We live our lives with purpose and passion. We rest and we have community and connection, and then we work and create things and take action, but then we come back and rest and nurture and support, and the two need to work beautifully together. So when they cause a divide, they're trying to keep the two parts of us, they're trying to keep the two parts of the world separated. Okay. How are we doing? I'm going on 20 minutes. So if anyone's got any questions, pop them up there. Another nice thing that I wanted just to talk to you about was Jason Circa that I posted here before. He did a nice little presentation the other day again about, you know, the United States of America, and talking about how they are so divided, but we really need to come together. And what I really liked that he said was that, or was it Laurie Ladd? Any one of those, they're all people I really like to connect to keep me in a really nice balance. Was the fact that, you know, you might look at your neighbor and go, are you Republican or are you Democrat? And it's like, are you going to label that person? Are you going to react to that person in a different way because of the label that we put on it, and because of which side of the fence you sit on? But he said, if you can connect to your soul and you can see through your soul to that person's soul, we are people. You know, and George through PJ always talks about eye to eye, hand to hand, heart to heart. When you connect to another person in a loving, soulful, compassionate way, then we will all be able to keep this connection together. Everything that they have tried to do in terms of the negative side of this, look, and what I'm talking about here is the yin energy is rising. We've known this for years. I have talked about this for years and years and years. The yin energy is coming up. It has to, right? This is not something that the humans on this earth have decided to do. It's probably not even something that Mother Earth has decided to do. This is happening on a universal level. We are moving into the age of Aquarius. I don't know a lot about the age of Aquarius. I did listen to another YouTube video the other day with a little bit of it, but all those astrologers, you know, there's lots of people talk about this stuff. But the age of Aquarius is bringing in the age of peace and harmony and love. And we call it the age of love, or it's been referred to as the age of love. This new energy coming in, this is part of what is being resisted by the establishment that wants to keep the yang energy dominant. So it's not political, it's so much bigger than that. So I just want you to reassure you that beautiful, beautiful things are coming. That as we get a balance in the energies on the planet, in the universe, and in our world, and in our body, and in our lives, that we are going to come out of this eventually in a beautiful place. So it just depends on how hard we, as the humans, want to resist it. How long are you going to keep working and working and working? How long are you going to live in lack? How long are you going to live in fear? One of the words that I hear used around a lot is sovereignty. We are losing the sovereignty of our control and ownership of our own bodies. We're losing the sovereignty of our own land. You know, we're talking about how rules and regulations or legislation is coming in, or has come in, saying that we don't own our own land anymore. We certainly don't own our own water anymore. Don't get me started on the water that's been sold from Australia way before the droughts happened, all that water being sold off to the highest bidder and not allowed to be shared and be a natural resource for where it should be. Anyway, I said I wasn't going to get started. But things like, you know, this is one of the reasons why it is so important that we do not have compulsory vaccinations. We all have a human right to the sovereignty of our own bodies, whether you agree with vaccines or not. We have to have a choice. We have to have a choice of how we live, and we have to maintain control and authority of our own lives and our own bodies, of our soul, of our decision making, and how we choose to live. So this again comes back to responsibility. Every single person has the responsibility to step up into their own authority. If we blame someone else, if we blame other people for what's going on in the world, that we give all our power away. Because where the responsibility is where the power is. I talked about that, I think, in the last live that I did, or the one before. Where if you're saying that someone else is doing this to me, you are being the victim. You're not stepping up. This is what all this awakening, all of this higher consciousness about is taking responsibility. It's all about taking power, having sovereignty over your own life. You are responsible. You are the powerful person in your life. You know, there is absolute abundance for all of us. If you don't have enough food, water, or shelter, then you have to look at how are you connecting to those things? Are you in lack? Do you have a mindset or a belief that is in lack? So change it, do something about it, get it fixed, right? There's so many resources out there. There's so many amazing books. There's so many courses you can do. We have so many tools these days. So, you know, there's lots and lots and lots of things you can do. And the last little point that I was going to try and make here, there's there's a lot of talk about we're moving from the 3D, the third dimension into the fifth dimension. So again, the third dimension is that it's about when we feel disconnected, when we feel we don't have confidence. In the pillar code, in pillars 1, 2, and 3 sums this up beautifully. When you are at peace with yourself, when you have belief in yourself, then you know where you are going. You get to choose where you are going. What pillar 2 is all about your love and your joy. What do you love? And do you enjoy that? Do you bring joy into your life rather than being burdened? So love, the opposite to love is fear. Are you stuck in fear rather than joy? Are you stuck in fear rather than love? Are you allowing yourself to love and to be loved and connect into what you loved? Are you connecting into your joy rather than burden? Or is life a burden to you? Is getting up in the morning and cooking your breakfast a burden to you? Is your family a burden? Is your work a burden? These things should bring us joy. So when we put pillar 1 and pillar 2 together, it gives, when we connect those, we have connection. We connect in a positive way to everything that we love and to our joy, and that gives you confidence. So that's just pillars 1, 2, and 3 out of the 9 pillars. But to me, if we could all just get those right, know what you love, have your peace and belief in yourself, connect that into your joy and your love, and to be confident and to connect into your confidence, your love, and your joy, because you have the power to do that. That was the other one. Then we're going from 3. So 3 is the disconnect, the fear, the negative. When we go into 5D, it's all about ownership, and we have to take the ownership of our life. And you might go, where is this 4? Don't we have a 4th dimension? I don't know really what that's about. What I look to again, is the pillars. So pillar 4 is all about the masculine and feminine connection. Isn't that amazing? I love that. And the same information, what I love at the minute, so many people are channeling, so many people are connecting to their version of God, to love and light and to healing. There's lots of messages coming in through the cards, through channeling, through the astrology, and it's all the same message. It's like we are waking up, we are raising our consciousness, and that's where we get the balance, and then we take ownership. We've got this. We have got this. It doesn't matter who wins the American election. You know, it can be representative of a whole lot of beliefs and a whole lot of fears. But I think the most important thing is for each of us to independently be our own authority. And I'm excited about it. And as long as I can stay in the positive and do my beautiful work with my beautiful clients, and I can raise my vibration and I can assist them to raise their vibration, I'm on track. I'm doing my purpose. I'm doing my passion. Okay? Are you doing yours? Are you loving your life? Are you loving what's going on? And are you loving this rise and this balance that's happening in the world? That's my rant, my Tune In Tuesday and my rant. I hope it's useful. I hope it's kind of given a little bit of clarity and helping you to stay in your peace regardless of what's going on out in the world. So I would say be aware, be informed, but keep your control, keep your calm, and keep your confidence. So till next Tuesday, or till I see you during the week, God bless, take care, and look after yourself. Bye-bye.